the end of 2016, and we're looking forward to 2017. And we brought the tech gang together to talk a little bit about it. And so we got Chris Greer, we got Paul Alford, and we got Denny. And so let's go, Denny. Talk about whatever you want.
Okay, Tim. Thank you. As you know, I really enjoy coming back to the LMTV forum. I thought I did a very brilliant maneuver getting Tony Fortunato to be the host, and then just as soon as he gets good at it, I just disappear. Mm-hmm. In fact, I just came back a day ago from a 2-week meditation retreat. The problem I have with meditation retreat is that I just don't know how to get any more relaxed. So with that, why don't we start with Paul? Paul, how do you get more relaxed? What's going on with you? What do you see what have you seen in 2016? And what do you expect to see in 2017? You can talk about it both from your company or from the industry standpoint. Thank you, Paul.
Okay. So for those who don't know, Advanced 7 is the main company. We're a troubleshooting company. I guess we go out and troubleshoot difficult problems. I'm not sure that I've seen a great change in the customer base. We're pretty much circulating around the same group of customers. We tend to have a very, very large portfolio of customers, so probably more than 200. But in any one year, it tends to concentrate on 40 or 50 customers, and then it rotates, and you get some of the ones you didn't see last year come back this year. That really hasn't changed. I guess the thing that's changed is more use of cloud services, Azure, software as a service type offerings, and the challenges that that's bringing to people who are trying to solve problems. They're faced with performance and stability problems, and they can see as far as the perimeter of their own network out into the internet, and then past that they're a bit stuck. So I was quite interested in looking at some of the stuff that's coming along in the Amazon space in AWS, where I noticed that there's someone who's offering a service where they place a virtual machine between your systems and the outside world, and enables you to trace traffic going in and out of your own environment. That sounds really quite cool, except for, of course, there might be a worry about performance, etc. So we're just getting to look at that. I think that's going to be a growing problem. Encryption is going to be a growing problem because we look a lot at the data content, and that's going to gradually become invisible on the wire. So yeah, new set of challenges, higher speeds for packet capture, more problems with capturing actually on the device, and I guess it's same old really. The technology increases, has a step increment, and then the tools sort of follow along behind, and trying to catch up. So I think there'll be a fair few challenges in the coming year.
Yeah, and now besides Advanced 7, you are also a principal behind TriLab.
Yeah,
and if I remember, just watching you, definitely in the last year, you're kind of transitioning now, right, from sort of just a community freeware type of endeavor to where you are really moving towards a product.
We are. It's a fine line, because actually we want to try and maintain the community feel, and we'll continue to offer a lot of software and information free of charge, and continue to promote the concepts of using database troubleshooting, the sort of thing that Chris does every day, and that a lot of our peers are doing. So we want to continue to promote that idea, but we have got this product called Workbench.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Okay, so Workbench is it's really a platform that merges data, tools, and workflow. So we are able to deal with any type of data, including Wireshark traces, which is the thing that we started off with. and then apply tools to that data in some quite novel ways. So, for example, you can drag and drop Excel from the toolbox and drop it onto a PCAP file, and it'll actually open in Excel. You can drag Wireshark onto a net shell trace file, which you can't do normally because it doesn't support that format, and it reformats the data and shows it in Wireshark. You can explore web logs with Wireshark. So there's that sort of smooth transition between data types and tools, and you can choose your own tools. It's not prohibitive in what it offers. And then there's a really important portion of it, which is called workflow, where we're trying to model the workflow of people who know how to analyze traces, and we're programming that into the workflow. So basically what our saying is, now everyone's an expert, because what we're trying to do is provide everyone with an expert workflow. So for example, we just mentioned it before the show started, but Chris did a session at SharkFest on TCP tips and tricks. We've been looking through that video and modeling what he does in the way that he analyzes traces, so that someone could pick up that workflow and do it the way Chris does it. That's our intention, is to try and help people mimic the people that they most want to mimic. We've added some bits and pieces around the standard workflows because Chris can only follow one certain path in a presentation, so we have to accommodate all sorts of variations in the path. So it's an adaptive workflow, not just a straightforward list of instructions. It consumes context information, so it starts to contextualize each step of the workflow. So it's really exciting because we can see endless possibilities for this thing in educating people in how to use Wireshark, or even educating people in how to analyze genome information, or airflows over surfaces, or whatever you like. It could be used for so many different things. But we're focusing at the moment on the Wireshark community and enhancing what they can do.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say good things about Paul's effort, and in exchange, we'll say good thing about you later on. I want to stay on this topic of the workbench. Tell us from your perspective what that is all about.
You ask for me with Workbench? To be honest, I haven't done a lot with it. I know Paul has. It's been demonstrated to me, and we talked a little bit about SharkFest when we were both at SharkFest this last year. But unfortunately, I haven't personally seen much of it, so I'm not yet an authority with that. But I think that is such a nice angle to take, especially with the workflow stuff, because a big question that I get after doing like a Wireshark webinar or Wireshark event, I just did one a couple weeks ago that we had 1,000 people join, is, okay, I have my trace, but where do I start? What is the workflow? So yeah. Paul, that is a fantastic angle, because even something that we get questions about at SharkFest is, okay, so like for me and Laura and Betty and the other speakers, it's like, okay, you guys are doing well walking through these trace files that you already know the answer to. What happens if we just throw you at a trace file that you've never seen before? What's your workflow?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Paul, you are really hitting on a big question that's out there, and that is a wonderful angle.
The version of workflow you'll see now, Chris, is vastly different from that one we showed at SharkFest. That was a proof of concept, and we realized one of the things we did was we added a lot of clever little tricks in it, but we didn't actually address the thing that we set out to do, which was the workflow piece. So the whole UI, the thing looks so different, you wouldn't even recognize it compared to the original proof of concept. But I do agree with you. I think this workflow thing is the big thing. Do you get the feeling sometimes, Chris, that you're at SharkFest and you're presenting, and it's like one of those celebrity chef shows where they love watching it, but they probably go home and think, I'm never going to do that?
Hansung, oh sure. Hansung actually says that. He's like, okay, let's do this cooking show thing.
Yeah,
Bing.
yeah,
Oh, here it's coming out of the oven, and this
yeah,
is like 30 seconds later. And that's what people feel,
Actually,
They,
no, but I saw more than that. I saw Chris' face when Paul was talking about how he's going to use him as a model, and I saw
That's
I saw
scary.
I saw I saw I saw the fear in his face where he was like this magician, and Paul was like this guy said, "Well, let me explain to you how this works."
Well,
yeah.
that's scary that anyone would want to model anything after the way that I think. But
See,
and I but I
I
think
tell you that there are very, when we looked, I mean, we've looked, you wouldn't believe how many videos we've watched. And the great thing about Chris is, I don't want to embarrass him on it, Chris is a great presenter. He's really good. And he makes it seem simple, and it is pretty systematic. Probably Laura, we've modeled one of her workflows. She is very sort of methodical, and I think that's because she has to create course material. And of course, and just like Chris, I think you've got to do things in a fairly methodical way. You can't just do it in an artisan way that perhaps some of the others do it in.
right.
So that's why you pick your person, that you're going to model.
Well, I think that is true. I think both Chris and Laura and Tony and these are teachers, and my experience as a teacher is that you learn 10 times more as a teacher than you ever do as a student. I mean, until you actually have to explain something, you really haven't learned it, right? Hey, Chris, so why don't you pick up from that? And so tell us what you have been doing in 2016 that is new and different, and what do you think 2017 would mean for you?
Sure. It's nice to have the opportunity to chat with you guys. I know I'm not here often because I'm just busy on Wednesdays, but yeah. So this year I actually launched a new website for Packet Pioneer, and a key component of that is the videos that I've been doing on YouTube, kind of linking those into my website, and really trying to take the angle of 5-minute quick tips. So I've been working on those quite a bit. Trying to, like you said about the teaching with the Wireshark, my style with that has been just almost like no student left behind. So really take a simplistic view of this complex analysis that we do and do it in small, digestible ways. So
Yeah,
I've
but
been working on getting that.
trick in that, Chris, and I think that explains why you're so good in what you do. The trick always is that leaving no student behind. How do you do that in such a way without insulting the top student?
Yeah, that's where for me, like with SharkFest, that's why I really try to make clear that I'm a one fin instructor, or if I'm having I could do a 3-fin thing, like 1 fin and 3 fin. 1 fin is like the basic or intermediate, and then advanced is a 3-fin. So I try to make it clear to people when they show up to something, this is the audience that I'm speaking to. We can go to this other level and go deep dive into all these little teeny variables of TCP, which I often get questions about. But I try to just make clear to the person or the people attending or seeing these videos, like these fundamentals. Back to what you were saying about what I've been up to. I mean, SharkFest has always been something that's been such a benefit for me to be at and learn from the other instructors and see what's happening now in the Packet world. But the feedback that comes back every year, we always get feedback from attendees, and that's what the organizers try to use to model the next year's sessions. At the top of that list is always TCP and transport layer troubleshooting. Top. So while we can do this 3-fin stuff and get down into how to write a dissector and how to, we can get deep dive in these packets, but people want to know, how do you open up a trace file and fix a problem and quickly diagnose things? So that's where I try to stay in that lane, because the number of people that I think are in that first category is tremendous, and the number of people that are down into the super nitty-gritty, there's a lot of them out there, but just a lot of them probably won't show up and watch a 5-minute video. I don't know.
Or if they do. The problem, though, is trying to get, anybody can capture packets. Anybody can. And there's a number of ways of doing it. But then taking packets and organizing them in a way where you can actually understand what's going on,
Yeah.
and then convert that to a solution. I've seen a lot of people that can take a lot of packets and say, "Oh, I think I know what's wrong," but then the problem becomes, how do I fix it?
Right.
And the way Paul's working on it and you're working on it, everybody's trying to bring more visibility. When you have more visibility of packets, you have better understanding of packets. But next year I'm going to start doing videos, and I'm going to start preaching the fundamentals. I'm going to go back. I go into so many companies and they've never done any baselining. They don't even know what their TCP IP spread is. They don't know their dependencies. And it's really sad, because that's the important things. Those are the things that make your life, your network life, capable of actually solving problems.
Right. So yeah, and basically that's for me. 2017 is to answer your question, Denny. Like, it's gonna be more on that type of thing as well. Like, hopefully you guys continue to see just shorter videos, and the audience that I'm trying to appeal to is that the people that are getting into analysis, making sense of the matrix is what I call it. And then for me personally and professionally, what that turns into is I've started to see people contact me and say, "Hey, I saw this video. I've got this trace file. I've worked through those top 5 things that you said, but there's still a weird nitty-gritty issue." And that's where I learn, because they're now sending me stuff that's like, "Whoa, how is the congestion window is broken in this sense? Or is it some new issue that I haven't seen before?" And that's where I get to learn as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it all moves into next year.
Especially with Windows 10, right?
Right.
I did a short study on Windows 10 the other day on IPv6, and 28% of my traffic was just advertisements from IPv6 that there's no one out there to talk to. And it took 3 hours to get rid of it.
Tim, I decided that I will give you the remaining of the show, but you have to choose. You can talk about TAP or you can talk about IPv6, but you can't talk about both.
I can't.
No, Tim, you can talk about anything you want.
Well, I just did a big study for a friend and on just IoT, Internet of Things, and oh wow, you talk about a whole new dimension you guys are going to get to do, because you're going to start seeing all this traffic that has no value whatsoever, and it's extremely dangerous. We've already been able to see, we've already seen the numerous DDoS attacks using the bots as the principal devices to knock out other users. We saw the LinkedIn and all that. The Yahoo breach, or the AT&T, Yahoo, all of those company breach, that was a real nice one. That's in the billions, and AT&T still will not increase their security because you still could only use uppercase, lowercase, and numbers. You can't use special characters. And of course, if you only stick to that, rainbow tables can help you hack through almost anything if it's just characters and numbers. So 2016 to me was kind of a weird year in the fact that I saw so many breaches. Paul, by the way, Babel that you sent me, that's another thing Paul's got. You guys got to play with. This is awesome. I was actually able to take a router log and compare that to packets that were captured plus a time analysis, and actually it led to the arrest and ultimate conviction of some burglars that were just breaking into gun shops. And unfortunately, they left their phones in promiscuous mode. And of course, what does that mean? They registered with the router, and there it is. And I was able to use Paul's Babel. Is that right, Paul? Called Babel?
It's Babel. It's like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There's a Babel fish that converts between languages. That's what it's sort of based on.
It's awesome.
I don't want to move on before really understanding what this is. This is another tool that's offered in TriLab.
Actually, no. It's actually I provided it to Tim because he asked me for a copy to use for a specific purpose. But actually, it's integrated into Workbench. It's one of the things that does the translation between different file types. That's why you can read IIS weblogs with Wireshark, and you can read net shell traces with Wireshark. So it does that translation. I think what Tim's hit on is not something we designed it for, but it just so happens that if you feed it a certain format of log, it'll attempt to try and do a translation and pull it into Wireshark. And I guess Tim just got lucky and it worked. So
it was like, I know.
It's fine by me.
Yeah.
That's really good.
But it's really what you're doing, Paul and Chris. What we're beginning to do is teach people that we have more data sources than just packets. Okay,
Absolutely.
because when you have packets, all you have is time relevance, and of course, most people still capture through span ports. This is my obligatory. Quit using span ports to monitor your networks. God, how many?
We knew it was coming, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, God, a tap doesn't cost that much, and it gives you a real view of your network. And if you're in security, I don't know anybody in security that wants to guess what's happening on my network. But people forget that there's so many other things we can pull in, and with the stuff that you're doing on Workbench and teaching people how to take data from multiple sources and relevate that, it becomes so important. And of course, I preach. Go ahead, Paul.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say we call it upcycling because one of the things we found is that people are just discarding so much good stuff, and obviously one of the problems is that if you're going to have to use a variety of tools to explore that different data, then that's going to be a challenge. Hence the reason why Workbench tries to do the job of translating between one format and a format that's readable by a tool that you know and love, and that being Wireshark in our case. But that's one of the sort of design criteria for Workbench. But I totally agree. There's so much data wasted out there.
Oh yeah, and even the fundamentals. I mean, people have to get back to the fundamentals. So I'm going to try to work with, and Paul, I'd love to work with you and Chris and Tony, and we want to put together some good things about just understand your network. Just like a doctor has to understand your physiology when you go to see him. In my case, he scribbles, "You're still alive." Oh, okay. And but 2017 is going to be an interesting year. But I agree with Paul and Chris. If we just stick to the fundamentals, Wireshark, man, and all of the different capabilities that are out there, from Nmap to Snort to TriLab stuff. I mean, just think about it. It's getting to where we've got the tools, we've got the visibility. Now what we need is the ability.
Hey, Tim, I wonder if you could explain a little bit about ransomware. And the reason I asked that is that it actually hit home very close. I guess the Muni system in San Francisco were ransomed. And as a result, everyone rides free. So I don't get the problem with that. But in any case, I mean, this is a problem, right? I mean, we're seeing more and more airlines are being shut down because of that. What's going on?
Well, ransomware is beginning to evolve. It was pretty much originally just a grab and hide and encrypt. Some of it's getting very, very loquacious. That's my big word for the day. Okay. Ransomware has become more of a burglary tool and easy to spread. And as normal, all of our security companies are running behind trying to catch up with the evolution. I mean, when you think about it, some of the original Trojans that we had going back in the early 2000s, they're still being used as a baseline attack mode. Ransomware will continue. The ability to recognize an attack early is becoming a little bit better. Okay. But the problem is, until people start using the rules and regulations of what you can and can't do at work, or what you can and cannot do with your cell phone or your tablet or that, we're going to see ransomware continue to evolve and be a major pain in the posterior. I really do believe that in 2017 we're going to see a whole new. There are a lot of new programs that are attack programs that aren't anything like what we're used to, and ransomware will be included in that.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. I mean, this is not about just stealing people's money anymore, but just the fact that you can just stop an infrastructure code.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I came back from Hong Kong last week, and my last day there, I had to take the subway, and there was just a glitch. It wasn't even anything about ransom. It was just a glitch in the software, computer software, and the train didn't run, or the window or the doors couldn't open. And there were so many people backing up. You couldn't there's no place to put them. It's a dangerous. It just became. It started. It was like in microseconds. It went from this very orderly world to complete chaos.
Now, the number of Windows 10 ransomware attacks have doubled in the last 10 to 11 months.
Yeah.
And of course, Windows 10, the way it's written, and I'm not a code expert, so I'm just going with what experts have told me, extend its vulnerability. Matter of fact, when the Yahoo hit last week, well, it's actually been an ongoing leak for a long time. It's sort of like the Titanic having multiple holes in it before it collided. The vulnerability in Windows 10 has become very obvious. And to the malware attacks, there was even just one little attack a guy did, and literally when it started spreading like a virus through the network, somewhere in the order of 60% of the Windows 10 computers could no longer communicate with their ISP. And what they're doing is smart. If you think about it, one of the things was they basically turned in your DNS. They turned it into looking like an attack, okay, like an amplification attack, and therefore the ISP shut down the people. And that was just a very simple virus they put out there, and it's caused a lot of grief. And I know Microsoft, Google, all of them are spending an inordinate amount of money and time trying to, first off, recognize and understand the new attack methodologies, and then, of course, try to stop them. But usually they're the guy that shows up after the accident and says, oh, if your brakes had worked better, you wouldn't have an accident, kind of. So unfortunately, we're learning by actually experiencing the attacks.
Well, we should probably close. How about we talk about 2016, 2017 from the perspective of Love My Tool, since Tim, you and I are kind of quote unquote the editor for this.
Well, I think Chris has hit on a great thing. I think we should we want to inform people. But one of the big goals that I've always loved on Love My Tool, thanks to people like Paul and Chris and Tony and Paul Smith, is that we try to explain to people how to recognize a situation, how to even begin to see what's going on in your network, and then help them kind of guide them through a path to solution. And I really believe that's what we should continue doing. Love My Tool, we've got some incredible sponsors, one right after the other. And I really look forward to them spending more time trying to help users understand, if you got this problem, we can help you get a resolution, or at least recognize it appropriately. But open source still is the blood flow in my consideration of Love My Tool. Open source tools they're educational. I teach a little bit here and there, and I always use Wireshark or Nmap or Snort, or one of those. But Wireshark is always the fundamental one. And I think Love My Tool, and I've been going out spending a lot of time, as you know, Denny, trying to get people to write more articles. I got Jasper's going to write some articles this year, and I've got several people from the Wireshark community. I want more. And of course, we got leaders like Paul and Chris and Tony. So that's what I look forward to in 2017. And, that's what, as long as I'm alive, my goal is to help people learn.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that has always excited me about Love My Tool is how we managed to get the different constituents to work together and then to benefit, right? Because, clearly we have the viewers, the industry at large. but at the same time, we have the sponsors who are actually paying us. And then we also have vendors out there who are maybe too small or whatever reason, who are not paying us. But still, we treat them more or less the same and let them contribute technology. And of course, at the same time, we have our panel of contributing authors like Paul and Chris and Tony and so forth. And somehow, we always manage to work together and benefit. And so one of the things that I like to mention, and this is an invitation to Paul and Chris, is that we're taking LMTV live, and in a way we're kind of distributing it, right? Rather than having it as a single place where we would do these video. For example, with Tony, he's actually doing this on his own channel, on his own YouTube channel, where he has his own followers, but it allows him to kind of cross-pollinate between his own thing and our own little thing, right? And so one of the things that I like to do is to open that up for you, Paul, and for you, Chris, is that, and I heard Chris is really building up his video channel now, is that you might consider doing LMTV Live, hosting LMTV Live, but having the end product reside on your YouTube channel. It just happens that you post it on Love My Tool. It worked great. It really worked great for Tony. It worked great for me because I do less work. That's my motivation. So with that,
hey, Denny,
yeah.
But I have real quick. I want 1 minute or so. I want to mention our sponsors. We got Apposite Technologies. If you want to do emulation, got to talk to Apposite. We got Ixia. They've been with us from the very beginning when they were a newie. Now they're Ixia. They're a big visibility company. Datacom Systems. They're great for infrastructure and data capture. Of course, Extra Hop. Man, you got to look at Extra Hop if you're looking at a system to manage your network. Garland Technology, my favorite of the TAP companies. I work with them all the time. So they're the guys who give you access and visibility. We got Live Action. Tell you what, these guys have got a great capability if you add it to your Cisco's. Manage Engine, NetBees. Oh my gosh, they can troubleshoot. They can tell you when you have a problem within a few milliseconds. And then NetFort, this is the guys that really take network visibility to the next level. NetScout Systems, Anil Singhal is a great friend, great contributor to our technology. And they've been with us since we started. They were actually our first ever sponsor. And then we got Performance Vision, our French company overseas, doing a great job. ProfitTap, another really great company for visibility. And of course, Thomas & Tech, which is in the industrial control system area. But that's it. And by the way, one thing I'll mention, even if you're not a sponsor of Love My Tool, even if you're not one of our great technologists that we have writing for us and contributing to us, if you want to post a technical article, no marketing hype, a technical article, send it to me at oldcomguy@gmail.com, and we'll get it posted.
Yeah, I think our motto is that you don't need to pay us to post an article, and you can't pay us bad. You can never pay us enough to post a bad article.
except a few of mine have been bad, but that's okay.
Now, I want to make. Did you mention Viavi in your list?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did. I just went brain dead on. I looked at Viavi. Viavi's been with us. Viavi started us as Network Instruments with Douglas, and now, of course, they're part of that other company, which I never can remember their name, but they're a great group of guys, and we've been working with them a lot. And by the way, if you're doing a deep capture engine and you need something like a Gigastore, which is made by Viavi, not another company that uses that name, they've got the best one out there. It's incredible. So,
I was really looking at the list as you were going down because we would never hear the end of it if we missed one of them. But if we did, after all this, if there's a sponsor out there, for some reason or another, we didn't mention you, it's only because Tim is old.
That's right.
Forget. All right. So with that, I'm gonna give Chris a chance to wrap this up, and then same for Paul.
Well, appreciate talking to you guys. It's funny. When when I was doing a webinar not long ago, someone told me like they actually sent in a chat and they said, thank you because something I saw in Love My Tool helped me fix my problem. So it just really helps me see that people are out there benefiting from what we're trying to do, and they're getting a better handle on their problems. So I think for next year, you're going to hopefully see a better cadence of articles from me. I mean, I got a little busy mid-year. Sorry about that. But thanks for the forum that Denny and Tim you've put together. And for me, it's an honor to be a part of it. And I've really appreciated the opportunity, guys. So thanks to you.
You are very welcome. Paul?
Yeah, much the same, really. Just echo what Chris said. I think it's great that you guys are dedicated to this and put this together. I'm sure it's not easy. It all looks as though it's a simple thing, but I know from trying these things that it's a lot more complicated than you think. Again, I haven't contributed as much this year as I perhaps should have, but next year I'm planning to do better. So I just looking forward to the coming year, really. I've got a lot to look forward to because I've got a new grandchild arriving in February. So
congratulations,
man. Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Paul, for your confessions. You're now absolved. So. All right, Tim.
Wow.
Why don't you close your show?
Hey, everybody, we want to wish everybody out there an incredible Christmas. It's a special time of year, so be special at this time of year. And I hope that 2017 brings us peace for the world. I hope that we can spend more time, getting to meet people like Chris, Paul, Denny. There's some really great people out there, and if you take a minute, you can be motivated by them. Denny motivates me every day, and he tries to keep me on a straight and narrow path, but it's kind of hard. And at the end of the day, when you look around, you're sitting there in your chair, think about, did you have an opportunity to do something nice and be different? So God bless all. Merry Christmas. Chris, Denny, Paul, thank you for your friendship. It means a lot to me.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in 2017.